Good morning, everybody from This Scale is Broken. It's John from Brisbane, and goodness knows. Yes, it's the wonderful production time, isn't it? Yes. Oh dear, you can tell it's change of weather time here in Brisbane. I think change of weather, change of everything here in Australia. We've had yet another change of Prime Minister. Yes, I bet my friends in Britain, I bet they're wanting to change a lot of things too. But a lot of people everywhere in most Western countries are wanting a change in a lot of things. But yes, and in some places it's really easy to change it. Here, yes, at least we're civil with the way that we change things, at least. But then again, our problem, of course, is now that our electorate, I suppose, the people, tend to get a little bit grumpy because we go, well, hey, look, we voted for who we wanted as our Prime Minister, and then we find that the party decides that because the polls turn and suddenly we have knifings and it's, it's like Julius Caesar all over again, and we've got changes in Prime Ministers faster than flipping. But anyway, I'm not here to talk politics. But yes, it's just a crazy world that we live in at the moment. But yeah, why was I saying that? Change of weather, because my poor old throat is flipping nasal drip and oh dear, constantly, yes, garbling away, aren't I? But yes, let's talk about weight loss. Weight loss. Where's my weight loss? Well, my weight loss is sort of stable. It's still around about the 100, maybe a little bit up, a little bit down. It fluctuates. So when I saw the doctor on Friday, pardon me, it was 100 and, oh, pardon me, it was 104.5 kilos when I weighed in. That was fully clothed, boots and all. And this morning when I weighed myself, I was just over 100 kilos. So that was yeah, the weight hasn't changed significantly. So I've I'm taking my dog Pippin for a walk. I think I posted the other day when Pippin and I went for a walk, coming back around the corner from where one of the high schools that we've got on our block. As I think I've mentioned, I've got a major, one of two major high schools there. We had the koala rescue on the corner, rescuing some, I'd assume at least one koala, which was good because our koala population is very much in need of being rescued. They've got a disease ripping through them at the moment that I'm not sure if they've got it under control, but I have a feeling they don't. But it's of one species that I hope does survive, and that is our koalas, because they are a beautiful animal. Our kangaroos, I know the Americans in particular seem to love them, but for us they're a pest. They are in plague proportions in many cases. The farmers hate them, and they're and to be quite honest, they can kill you. Do not believe that they're lovable creatures. If they decide that, particularly the males, the females can do it as well, but certainly the males, their claws, if they decide to rear up, their back legs can disembowel. See, anything here in Australia can kill you. Trust me. I live in a lovely country, don't I? Yes. Yes. Nobody wants to invade us, trust us. If you come here, if we don't kill you, the people, our countryside will. But yes, it's a thing. But yeah, so Pip and I went for a walk, and so we had the koala rescue people, and thankfully we've still got, where I am, quite a lot of bush still about. But, you know, I reckon probably in the next 10, 20 years there probably won't be that much bush round, because where I am now, like I'm 10, 11 kilometres, I think, from the CBD, from Brisbane, and that 40 years ago was more or less the edge, you know, from we had bush from then more or less down to the Gold Coast, and now, you know, there's more or less very little significant bushland. You've more or less got to go out west now and further north to Sunshine Coast, and further afield now to find much in the way of bushland. Oh, you know, we've got pockets, but, you know, the days of having significant tracts of, you know, forestry are fast disappearing. Mind you, of course, I don't go out looking for it, so I'm fairly insular. But yeah, we still got some pockets, but, you know, once again, our native wildlife is finding it difficult to exist within modern civilization. And of course, it doesn't help much when the government gives into you know, to private developers who see our prime, you know, our farmlands are being bought up by foreign multinationals and turned into housing estates and things like that. So, John, will you stop talking political? I hate talking political. Sorry, go back to talking other things. But yeah, so the weight is it. So, you know, I take Pip for a walk. I've got the doctor again gave my wife her riot act talk because her but trying to get her to go for a walk is, you know, is next to impossible, because I just can't motivate her. But yeah, very difficult to get somebody to, because see, this is the problem when somebody allows them to have too much weight start to accumulate, is that for instance, in my wife's case, she's now complaining that her feet get sore. So for her to, you know, go a short distance, you know, she'll complain that her feet are sore and that, you know, you know, she can't do it. Mind you, of course, my wife's very good at finding an excuse and loves to complain. So, you know, this makes it very difficult to do things. So, you know, the doctor says, look, you've got to exercise, you've got to go for a walk, and then we've got an excuse. You know, and she says, oh, but, you know, why don't you just walk down to the letterbox each day? That's just a small, simple task. But, you know, why do it? John does it. Do the washing. John does it. You know, these are the... It's difficult when you've got somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. And, you know, I love my wife, but it's difficult to, you know, to try and get somebody to help themselves to try and lose weight if they don't want to help themselves. You know, I do the best I can to keep my weight under control, but I think a lot of my weight, I think if I didn't have the stress and probably that desire to try and keep the weight off, I'd probably be ballooning out of control. I don't know. It's one of those things. But I've got two of the lads who are at the who come to our local game club, who have taken up a weight loss journey. And I must admit that while I don't see it in Leslie, but certainly Jason, who was a big boy, I shouldn't say big boy, but a large man. To be quite honest, he's nearly 40. He's made significant weight loss, and I must admit he does look good now. And he goes to the gym, and it's so funny listening to him and Leslie at the club where Leslie's going, oh, Jason can't do this, he requires me to help this, and Jason's going back, yes, Leslie, but he says I'm doing safe things where he says I'm not trying to lift this thing up above my head and not trying to kill myself in the process. He says I'm doing a safe thing where I'm ensuring that there's somebody there in the event that if I can't keep this this weight above my head, that if I if I can't keep it and that I have to drop it, at least there's somebody there to help me. So he's doing the right thing by having that safety. So he's thinking safety where again, this is from my observation from listening to the banter that they were carrying on with, where Leslie was looking at, this is how I'm doing it, I'm doing it well, I'm getting through the exercise, I'm progressing through, and I'm so much good at and so much better at, ripping through these exercises, I'm so much quicker, I'm so much better. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that's interesting looking at the way that, here's one who's looking at, and it's interesting because they're both competitive people, and I think that this is interesting the way how they were looking at their weight loss journey, is the fact that they're looking at it as a competitive exercise between the pair of them. And I think that was the interesting thing with with the weight loss with this scale is broken, was that there was the competitive nature that I think that we had when we had that journey with Dan, more or less, I suppose, coordinating it. I suppose was that that spur was people were sort of going we had that. We don't have that now, but we've still got people still committing, and we're still Missy's still there, and Fiona and Yvonne and the Ditmers, and I'm still here. I talk about everything and anything else, of course, but we're still progressing and still doing well. So I hope everybody's still doing what they can towards their weight loss. Please continue. Please continue. Dave, I believe, will be doing something. I think there was some talk that Dave would be doing a monthly video. I'm not sure what further was going to happen with that. He's been on holidays. I enjoyed his last little his musical was doing very well. This scale is broken. Oh, sorry, not this scale is broken. This game is broken podcast. The last two that I've seen since Dan has left. The one with Matthew Jude. Geez, that was very interesting. It was certainly fast paced. That was an interesting. The way how they've changed I suppose the lead role, that was really, really quick, the way how that went. And then we had Dave and his lead of how so it was interesting looking at how the different paces went. So it's going to be interesting to see that how each of the team members, if they're each going to be pacing, to see how people will you then find a favourite, and maybe then do they then go well to the general listening audience, go well who did you like, do you prefer one over the other, or do they continue to run with rather than have do you then have just a favourite and then have that problem of if somebody drops out, is the show then purely about say one individual being the major talent, or is it about the show itself? I don't know. But anyway, the show goes on. Isn't that what they always say? Anyway, look, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in a week's time. Keep losing weight. Until then, signing off, the Honourable John.